Good evening, everybody.
Yes, back again, and I hope everybody got to watch the big finale, which I guess it may be 2 nights ago by the time this podcast is up. But
good, because there will be spoilers.
Night, yeah. I hope you've watched it. If you haven't watched the Farmer Wants a Wife finale and you're planning on it, you may want to hit pause and come back and listen to this after you've watched it.
Yeah. Did you get? Actually got spoiled for me.
I actually watched it live.
Oh, really?
Last night, yeah. Only episode I watched all year live, so no, it did not get spoiled for me. Nothing got spoiled.
First thing I got on, because look,
which it went pretty much the way I expected.
Yeah.
The episode, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan was really the only one that I was like, man, dang.
Yeah, his got all messed up. Like,
he threw the monkey wrench in that one.
Why did poor Sarah V? I'm like, why? You were a finalist, and he didn't even want you to be a finalist.
Yeah.
Apparently, because as soon as his number one bowed out on him, he immediately tried to bring back a girl. I guess he did bring her back, but I don't think it probably ended up working out.
No, well,
which I was thinking, like, I liked Ryan, but I'm like, good for her, not to come crawling back.
Yeah.
That would have been a little bit demeaning.
Yeah, I mean, and Hunter. No surprise.
No, everybody saw that one coming from a mile
I think
away.
that's why they saved that one probably for the last, last one they showed, because that dude, it was no question about it.
Landon's didn't surprise me.
No, it didn't surprise me either.
Which I guess last week we hadn't even watched the next to last episode. I found it kind of interesting. Pretty much all of them. Again, Ryan doesn't really count because, I don't know, his got it so messed up. They picked the girl that was geographically much closer to them.
I didn't even think about that.
Because,
that's right.
Which there wasn't a big difference for Hunter. Like, I guess, which on the show they said Megan was from Texas, but she's really from Tennessee. She was just currently living in Texas. And his other girl's from Nashville, so there wasn't a huge difference in those two, I guess.
Yeah.
But Alan's, there was a huge difference. His in Tennessee. One was in Georgia, one was in California.
Yeah.
Like the California Rebecca, it wasn't going to work out.
Were you sad?
I mean, I saw it coming.
Yeah.
And Landon, same way. He's in Oklahoma. He picked the Dallas girl rather than the Florida girl.
Okay. See, I couldn't hardly keep up with his, but yeah, that's right. I forgot the other chicks from Florida.
His got a little more interesting, but the end of his season got messed up too. Whenever he had to take time away, obviously, circumstances beyond his control with his dad, passing away. But once he did, the hometown visit with, which I guess both his girls' names were Ashley.
Yeah, it was Ashley. I can't remember what their last names were, but yeah.
And I was like, he'll pick her. It just made a little more sense. And, so all of it went kind of like I expected it to go.
Well, that's what I got on Instagram this morning before I went out to work. First thing on Instagram, because Bobby Lee and I talked, Marcy was giving me crap because we actually just finished watching it. Like, I had watched about half the episode, but I already knew because I had seen all the spoilers. And Marcy was like, well, you shouldn't have been looking them up. And I said, I didn't look them up. I said, I was like,
timeline,
I said, I follow a lot of them because we're basically the official podcast of this show. So I was like, I follow a lot of these people now, just keeping up. And she was like, oh, because the first thing I saw was Megan had posted the thing of her and Hunter and was like, we can finally share it. So let me see if I've had a response yet.
Well, there was a Southern Living article that I got to read today that somebody shared where they interviewed them. And it was pretty interesting, which I don't know. I've spent way too much time today thinking about this. I mowed the yard when I got home tonight. I didn't put in my earbuds. And so I was just had my thoughts to myself, and I spent pretty much my whole hour that it takes me to mow my yard thinking about the show and overanalyzing it. But it's kind of weird because they finished up filming in November. And of course, I assumed it took them about 2 months to film the show.
I think it was 8 weeks, wasn't it?
Yes. And so think, okay, you get to know these girls over 8 weeks. you go on 2 solo dates, and I'm going to air quote those dates because there's cameras there.
Yeah.
Then you pick them, like, all right, and I guess you go to their hometown, maybe you get another date, you consider out a third one, but again, still cameras there the whole time. Then you pick them to be your girlfriend, basically.
Yeah.
And then you're told, all right, for the next 6 months, you can't be seen in public together. You can't, this relationship has to be a ironclad secret.
Yeah.
Like, this is
how does that survive?
Of right.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking, because I've never really watched it. Is the last show of The Bachelor live?
I don't know, because Marcy was telling me The Bachelor is a much longer running show too.
Right.
Because that's what she was, because
yeah, it's not quite as compressed.
Alan and Kelsey are not together anymore.
I'm pretty sure that none of them are, but Megan and Hunter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I saw, and I follow an account, and again, it sounds so weird that I'm this into this as I sit here and say it, but I thought it was like the official, like Fox Farmer Wants a Wife account on Twitter, but
yeah,
because that's got the logo and everything. But no, it does say in their little bio they're just like a fan or a gossip
Gotcha.
account.
Oh man, you're even deeper than me on this.
Well, pretty much they said on there they're pretty sure that Hunter and Megan are the only two still together. I was like,
wow, dang, that's a bummer.
But I'm like, well, how did you expect these relationships? And then I almost kind of got mad. I'm like, well, Fox really, which they're not in the business of making these couples like last.
Yeah,
they're just in the business of
making
ratings.
The shows. Yeah,
ratings. The last show should have aired like almost live, like they did it. And I've never really watched The Bachelor, like I'm familiar with it, but it seems like the finale or whatever of it may be done live, even in front of like a studio audience where.
Yeah, there is usually an audience. That's right. There is.
I know, like
I've only watched. I think I watched one season of The Bachelor with my wife.
So as soon as it's over, like you can be open with your relationship.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. There is an audience.
Which then I got to think, which Fox may need to hire me. They could like spin this off, and then they could have like all the couples do like the rounds on all the morning shows, like the day after, and all that. They could really turn this into as big of a thing as they want to. But a lot of people are criticizing them online. On more of the like official accounts, like overseas, because apparently there's like an Australian version and a British or a European version. They're like on the finale, they also give an update. It's like, how are these couples doing now? Like, well, yeah, they probably didn't want to do that on this one because none
of them are together except for
But I was like, they set them up for failure by saying like, all right, y'all are together, but you can't be together for the next 6 months.
Yeah. If you do, it's got to be very secretive.
Well, the article I read on Southern Living, apparently Hunter and Megan went on a cruise together, but I think it was before the show even started or aired at all. And so they weren't really too worried about being noticed. But he said while they were sitting at a bar there on the ship, like a commercial for the show upcoming came on. And he did say he had like a much bigger beard that he had on the show, and so he was a little bit incognito. But they kind of looked at each other, and he's like, "Yeah, we might ought to just hang out in our cabin the rest of this cruise." Which I'm like, "Yeah, good excuse, buddy."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He played that one well.
Yeah, it's like we're just gonna have to stay in a room.
Well, that's what like I said. Megan was the first one that shared it, and then of the ones I followed, none of them else shared anything like that. And so I've been, we've hinted at it. I mean, I'm not ashamed to tell everybody I've been in conversations with Alan and Hunter. Yeah. And Hunter, we plan to have him on the show, but it's got to go through the chains of Fox. Like he's doing it the technical way. Like when I reached out to him, he was like, and which I'm like, boy, if I go back and listen to some of the shows or do some research, might be like, hell no, you ain't going on that show. But
we're not PC enough.
Not for them. But Alan, he is planning, we're trying to get him on the show, but he's going to actually hopefully come and do it in studio after the kind of contract period is done where he can come in. But because
I have thought, I should have had a notepad today, all the questions I've got, because to me, and I don't know anything about producing a TV show. I have a damn YouTube channel, and trust me, it gets filmed and put up like almost immediately.
But it's doing pretty well. What are you at now? 30,000?
Not quite, but it
a million,
30,000 million,
30,000 million billion gajillion. What does Biden say?
yeah, something like that. But but to me, they ought to like end the show. And could they not have already been editing some of the previous episodes, had all them ready to go that way? As soon as the show ends, they can.
Dude.
So they don't make these people like. It's like you're setting them up for failure. It's like
South Park is a week-to-week show. The new season, if you watch South Park, it's like
it'll have like current events.
Yes, it's followed, like they're literally on like basically a week-to-week. Like I'm pretty sure somebody might be listening and be like, no. But I know they're very, very up on current events. I mean, so they're pumping out a new episode every week, and that's a damn animated show. So, like, if they could do that, darn well they could edit
I think they
that.
need to figure out a way. The finale needs to be basically live.
Yeah.
That way they can, they're not told to live in secrecy because, I mean, I can imagine, like, especially when they live a long way apart, like, Alan being like, well, should I go see Kelsey this weekend? Well, hell, we can't even go out to eat. We can't make shit.
Yeah, can't do anything, yeah. Well, and that's what Marcy and I were talking about. It'd be hard, too, because you come off of this, like, your whole dating experience has been this crazy high of a television show. And so then suddenly after that ends, it's like, okay, now we're actually like normally just.
Well, and it hadn't even really been a dating experience. Like, I mean,
yeah,
you've known this person like 2 months. You haven't even really you've had no actual alone time with them unless they sneak off at some point.
They might have been cracking in the woodshed or something.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that kind of thing happens on these shows. But
you think Ryan probably cracked Sarah H? You think he cracked old Sarah H?
When I was looking it up or following that one account, they said apparently like she has scrubbed every bit of the show from her social media and everything.
Really?
Yeah, like that was. They said it's almost like she knew she was never going to leave New York City.
She probably just was doing it for the publicity.
To be on, and you'd think.
But then she scrubbed the stuff.
I don't know, like the whole.
Well,
that whole thing. Which when I watched that episode, I was like cleaning the kitchen or cooking or something, so I was kind of halfway paying attention. But pretty much as soon as he got to New York, she was like, "Yeah, this is a waste of time."
Well, but he was actually going to break it off with her.
See, I wasn't paying close enough attention.
Yeah, he was pretty much gonna tell her it wasn't gonna work.
Really?
Yeah, they had kind of like a mutually, like he was more, because actually when he got in New York, he already was talking about Haley, and so he gets there and he's like, gonna go tell Sarah H how he whatever. So that was kind of a mutual thing.
Okay, I kind of.
She said her OnlyFans was taken off, and so she just couldn't leave New York.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
But Alan also shaved his mustache off, and he looks strange.
It's like anybody that you ever see with a certain facial hair.
When I had the mustache, people were like, "Whoa, who is that?" Yeah. But because see what caught my attention. I follow Kelsey. I follow Alan. I asked Alan straight up. I said, "Are you and Kelsey still together?" But he hadn't seen it yet because I had messaged him today. Like I said, seeing how the timeline.
So how did you realize they weren't?
So, like I said, Megan, dude, she I think probably as soon as the credits rolled, she was like posting about her and Hunter being together.
Well, I follow her. Like she has done it right as far as social media. I see she's got some sponsorships.
Yeah.
When she posts,
she's got OnlyFans now.
I don't know about that. But,
no.
But she's always like wearing some outfit and it's like tags the company.
She's doing the show right.
Yeah.
That's how you're supposed to do. You got to promote the show. But
she's marketing herself very well.
Her and Hunter had shared it. Now, Alan's not a big social media guy. But like
I kind of gathered that.
I've been following him, and now he's been sharing stuff, but he's been trucking. He's been hauling cattle because he's been sharing a lot about that 379, that Peterbilt that he's been working on. And he's been on the road a lot. Well, so Kelsey, I went to her page tonight. I was like, I got to do some investigating before this episode tonight. So I went to her page, and I was looking, and she had done like a questionnaire thing, and people could submit questions. Well, people had noticed apparently they did some sort of finale party in like two locations or something tonight.
Yeah.
And I think Alan was at the one in like Florida and a bunch of others. Well, Kelsey was not at that one. And so people were like, why are you and Alan not at the same finale party? And she was like, I go where my energy and my presence is wanted and loved. And so I was like, oh, all right.
See, that's the whole fault in them ending the filming and then 6 months later before the finale. I think that would be my recommendation to Foxby. Figure out a way to have the finale like live, essentially, even if it's
we need to ask Alan or Hunter. Well, Hunter didn't have no trouble apparently, but we need to ask Alan like if he thinks that would have made a difference.
Yeah. Well, in reading that Southern Living article, like that's what he talks about, which Megan moved back from Texas to Middle Tennessee, which like you said, they were still 5 hours apart.
Yeah.
But
he must be on the western side of Georgia then.
He's just south. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, Atlanta, it's like an 8-hour drive. So he's a good bit further this way.
Well, but see, where she's from, Lawrenceburg is a whole lot closer too. So
I'm thinking about
I was
here.
thinking they might even be closer than that.
Yeah.
No, they're still 5 hours apart. It said, they were relieved they could now finally like date openly because it was so awkward what they, especially I guess once the show actually started over these last couple of months because all of a sudden they could be recognized.
Yeah.
I was like, that was not very good planning on Fox's part, in my opinion.
No. But I am intrigued. Like I said, I'm even like more looking forward now to having Alan on. So I can be like, so bro, what happened?
Yeah, I need to think about all the questions because I had so many questions about like, well, why did they? Yeah, that they need to. Which this was just season 1 for the U.S. version.
Yeah, you said they're going to do a season 2.
I saw and it was actually Ryan that shared that like he was like kind of celebrating, like we did it.
Is he going to be on season 2?
I didn't say that, but
I saw Kelsey shared one.
He was asking. You saw at the end of, hey, that's our challenge to our listeners. Y'all need to go and apply to be on the show. Yes. If we got some, I know there's some young strapping farmers that are listening to this show. I bet
apply.
We got some ladies that may be listening that could apply.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, we got.
Yeah. Which obviously our audience probably tends more on the farmer side than the urban side.
Our gender map, I think I looked at, it was like substantially male.
I'm not shocked.
And
we love any female listeners we have out there.
That's right. Yeah, nothing against you. But if you're listening and you want to date a farmer, I did see where they're looking for the people for it.
It was like whatever the website was listed there at the end of the show.
And that, I got to look real quick because I meant to text you this other day. The country that is our second, like obviously, I've said it on here before, we're like an extremely American podcast. Like our audience is very, very American. It's like 98% America.
Yeah.
And but our number 2 country that I had seen most recently, it actually was surprising. Like if you had to pick,
I would say Canada.
That's what.
Yeah,
that's what sense. My normal.
They speak English and they're our neighbors.
Yeah.
That would.
Well, let me see here.
My second would have to be just a country that has a lot of Americans like living abroad, or something.
That's true. Yeah, it could be. Man, well, that might be. Maybe we have like a military base here that a lot of guys are on. Because this one, all right, pulling up the stats. I was like, wow, this kind of, I would have never guessed that this is who would be our number 2. All right, downloads per country. So right now, it's actually the United Kingdom is our number 2.
Okay, well,
Britain.
That would,
But
because again, the language. I mean, obviously, I doubt we're big. I don't know, anywhere that doesn't speak English, which would be like what 95% of the countries on the planet. Now we're big in China. Between the
I don't think we got to worry about that.
And the language barrier.
Yeah, dang it. See,
I actually had a buddy that was stationed in Japan with the Navy that I know he had listened to at some point. I don't know if he's a regular, but he's back in the States now, so
gotcha.
He wouldn't help us with our Japan stats anymore.
No, I had we've got. I mean, it's pretty wild seeing how spread out they are. This thing drives me crazy trying to pull it up. Germany was like pretty high on the list. That was the one that shocked me.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm like, maybe there's, because I know we have some military spreads out there. So I'm like,
I've known people that live right here with us that have been stationed over there recently. Some civilians working for.
And Russia was one of them.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
We did have a handful of, what did it even call it? The Federation of Russia or the something.
Yeah.
We had a few of them, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I like that.
I get a kick out of like on the YouTube stats because, of course, they give you down to like every single view and what country, and which some of them obviously don't speak English because they'll comment on my videos, and I'm like, I usually just send back the shrug emoji. When it's every now and then.
Does it not have the translate to English?
I don't think on YouTube. I know it does on like Instagram.
Yeah.
Comments.
Okay.
But every now and then, like if I'm really curious, you can't copy and paste from there. I'll go to like Google Translate.
Oh, that's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of times. Yeah, sometimes those videos will take off like randomly and
might be a Nigerian man offering you like $5 million.
Yeah, you never know. The Nigerian prince that. Yeah, I was his next of kin somehow.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
if I get a response from Alan while we're on air here, I'll update the people to what he says on that, because he hasn't seen it because it's a Facebook thing, so I can see, and it actually goes through my watch. So because I just said, dude, are you and Kelsey still together? Like I just sent that on after I responded to him, but
well, they never revealed like on that Twitter post that fan page or whatever put up. I forget exactly what they said, but I'm pretty sure they're. Think that Hunter and Megan were the only two still together, and yeah, sounds like that might be accurate. Which I commented, I was like, "Damn it!" I said, "I need to know." I gave us a plug on there. I said, "We're going to discuss it tonight."
Yeah,
on Talk Dirt to Me, and so maybe we pick up a new listener or two there.
All right, yeah, we should. Well, guys, if you hadn't watched it again, hey, look, it's a funny show, but it's an entertaining show. I was really surprised. And then season 2, hell, I'm going to tune in. Now, look, Bobby Lee and I think what got us so invested is the fact that we got a hometown dude on the show. We got a fellow Tennessean.
Oh, the first night I was watching it, like I've said this on here before, I mean, I was like, I don't know, like, if I'm really going to sit here and watch this. When I see Alan is from Santa Fe, Tennessee, I literally damn near fell out of the couch. Like, I could not believe it. I was immediately texting my wife because, she was out of town. I don't know where. I was sitting there watching it. I think me and my son were watching. Me and Willis.
Levi was in there because they're out for summer now, and so
my kids are too officially today.
Yeah, they were laying on the couch with us because Marcy was like, "Well, let's hurry up and watch it. She's got to work tomorrow." So Levi is like, "What is this?" And we're like, "Farmer wants a wife," and he's like, What are they doing? And I'm like, they're dating. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, that's what they do. And he's like, well, that's boring. And I said, what, do you want somebody to get shot? And Marcy was like, of course he does. Like, we've been watching Gunsmoke because Prime has like from season 7 all the way to the last ones, they got them on Prime. And it's really awesome to watch because it's the the quality is phenomenal. Like it's like it's like super HD of Gunsmoke and black and white. So I've been watching it with them, so they're used to, somebody gets killed in every episode of Gunsmoke. Did you watch much Gunsmoke?
Very little, but and that's a good one. That the violence is, it's not totally, inappropriate for kids.
No, it ain't. It's no blood, and there's no queers in it. Like I ain't got to worry about any of that.
Yeah, just all the weird stuff. Which
any weirdo on Gunsmoke would be the one they'd kill when he came to town.
Yeah,
they'd like string him up in the street or something. So you ain't got to worry about that. That's why I'm like, and there's no bad language.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Like I still ain't figured it out. Like Miss Kitty. I don't know if she's a prostitute or if she's running a brothel and like her women that work there are prostitutes. Like I can't quite figure that one out, but she's really got hot britches for old Matt, and Matt he just don't ever seem to throw it to her.
Yeah.
But see, that's the diversity of the watching. Like I don't watch a lot of TV, but if I do, here lately it's either been Farmer Wants a Wife or it's been Gunsmoke. So it's been,
I tell you, the only TV show I'm actively watching, which over now, was Farmer Wants a Wife. I've been we may mention on here the Waco prequel now on what is it?
Netflix.
Maybe Netflix.
I think there's a Netflix. Well,
what was the one that had Taylor Kitsch as
that one was on Netflix, or no, that might have been on Prime. I can't remember, but that was the Waco.
So now they got, what do they call it? Waco: The Aftermath. That's why I say it's a prequel.
That's the one that has.
It's not a prequel. It's a sequel.
That one has actual people from Waco in it, though, don't it? I thought.
No. This is all like, because I can't keep them all straight because I've watched several documentaries on it. But this one, it does go back pre-Waco and kind of shows a little bit of the backstory of how, like when David Koresh, because he wasn't the one that founded
the Branch Davidians,
right? But how kind of he rises in prominence there. It shows kind of the aftermath, which eventually, I'm not that far into it, but leads to Timothy McVeigh bombing the federal building.
Was he a Branch Davidian?
No, but they were inspired. Kind of the whole theme of it is that there were all these extremist groups all over the country. I think something like 50,000.
Yeah.
But the FBI's official stance was like, none of them get along. Like they don't work together in any way. So they're really not in any danger. And the one thing that Waco did was it kind of unified them all. They're like, okay, we need to all, we have a common enemy in the federal government, and it kind of unified them and organized them. And there's the one FBI agent that kind of starts to realize it, and that's about as far as I am. And,
gotcha.
I mean, obviously, I know how it's going to eventually end because
how do you know?
I was alive. Well, there's a guy in the show named Tim McVeigh. I mean, it's like, okay, well, I'll see where this eventually goes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'll check it out, too.
That's about, and heck, I hadn't watched an episode of that one in like 3 weeks. I mean,
I hadn't watched much.
This time of year is tough on me watching TV because it was like tonight. We started recording at, about 8:45? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be able to make it by 8:45 easy. Well, like, it all of a sudden, it was like 8:33, and I looked at my watch, and I was like, oh, crap. Like, it's just now dark. And my wife and daughter were just getting home from softball, and I was like, hell, I'm barely going to, I thought for sure I could make it by 8:45, and I barely did. But.
Well, yeah, this time of year is not a good year to watch much TV, but.
Yeah, if I can't watch it with the kids, it's real hard, because.
Well, and see, 1923, I'll watch it, Yellowstone, but neither one of those are kid-friendly.
No. But there hadn't been anything new on those in a while.
No, I've got I did have a pretty interesting update on the farm. So I think, I've shared on here, and we've talked about it, the struggle with growing your operation, especially kind of as you're still starting out, is you have to have the necessary equipment. And the more ground you pick up, obviously, the more equipment you need. And I had reached a point where I was in a pickle because I've got these track hoes. We're having to clear ground. And, I'm 99.9% no-till on everything. The farm I was running the track on today, I got cover crop on it that's 4 foot tall. I'm going to plant straight into it. And, it always does great when I do that. But
then you'll spray it and terminate it right after.
Yep. Yeah, because it's green. If I kill it now, when I go in there and start doing it, my meters on my planter will suck the fuzz off of the dead particles of the plants. It'll suck it into the meters, and then it makes the planter just lose its mind. So it actually does better to plant it green.
Yeah.
And then I'll come in just immediately after I plant it.
You should have got them roller crimpers to go on your planter.
I thought about it, but then people were like, man, it's not that necessary. They were kind of like, it's really not that necessary. And I still may. But what my dilemma was, as much no-till as I am, I'm also clearing a lot of ground. And when I clear ground, I have to work the ground up. I got to work it up, sometimes a couple of times. Well, that ground that I've been clearing on, I needed to bush hog it because it had those freaking trees on it, and I was bush hogging the trees. I needed to bush hog the trees, run the disc. Well, I was going to have to unhook my tractor and planter. It's going to have to unhook it, drive it from Shelby County to Tipton County, pick up the bush hog, drive to Shelby County, bush hog, drive back to Tipton County, unhook, drive back to get the It was going to be a ton of stuff just having one tractor. And so luckily it was wet, and Dad, one of the 8330s was sitting out there on the drill, and I was like, can I just use this 8330? I said, I need to just bush hog for a couple of days. And it was soaking wet, so I took it and used it. So I was like, we have to get another tractor. I was like, unfortunately, I have to have another tractor. And man, I'd been looking, and to put this into perspective for people like Mr. Cookie that helps me, he was looking like my 8420 tractor. It's a 2004 model. And he's like, why don't you just buy another one like it? And I'm like, you don't understand how much that tractor would be now. When I bought that tractor, 2 or 3 years ago now. I paid $71,000 for it. It had 4,500 hours on it or something, that's low hours.
For one that age.
Yeah. And just 2 weeks ago or so, I saw an 8420. I'm not even sure if it was as new as mine. It was not in near as good a shape, and it had 9,400 hours on it. And it sold for $91,000. So it sold for $20,000 more than what I paid for mine 2 years ago. So I'm like, dang, I could sell mine for probably $100,000 right now because it's got new tires on it, half those hours. So I was like, all right, but I'm not in a position to spend that because I don't want to finance another thing. So I'm like, I want a tractor that I can just pay for. So I had told you about the one I was bidding on. I got on auction time. I like auction time a good bit. Well, I was on there, and it was a 1976 4830 or 8430. 8430. But now this is old. A 76 model. And that was a 200 horsepower tractor, but it was articulating 4-wheel drive. I want front-wheel drive. That's another thing of advice I give to guys that are starting out or something. Dude, I'm going to tell you what. If you're doing row crop, it is hard to beat front wheel assist, on a tractor. Not even just row crop, even cattle. If you're putting hay out, it is nice having front wheel assist, especially if you live in a place like we do where you get the rain we get. But, so, man, I was bidding on that. The guy obviously, somebody had gone on there and they had obviously set it had to have been a $20,000 max. I had already said, I'd done made up my mind I was going to give $15,000 max for this thing. It was going to cost me $2,800 to have it shipped here. It was in Illinois. And, but it had been restored. It was pretty pimp. Did I show it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of it.
It was a pimp old tractor. It looked sharp. And, so...
But you could tell because every time you would bid, it would immediately match it.
Immediately. I waited till, got down, typical bidder here, I waited, it got down to 1 minute to go. It was at $11,800. I hit it to 12,000. As soon as I hit submit, it submitted, and then it said you have been automatically out, or you have been outbid.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap! So I just did a $500 up increase, automatically outbid. Like it just kept doing it as soon as I did, and I went all the way. I actually went to 15.5, and it just kept doing it. And so I was like, well, screw it, and so I just quit.
So yeah, of course it's not my money, but I'd been tempted to be like, I'll make this bastard really pay for it. Just get it.
Oh, well, that's what Mr. Cookie was like.
You'd have bought it for like 25,000.
Yeah, and I'd be like, well, that was a good 10,000
like,
more.
Shit. Take back my last bid.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't really want it at that price. I just want to make them pay as much.
Well, I
just want to help the seller out.
I did feel better because Mr. Cookie was like, well, at least you caused them to have to spend a little more money because they were about to get the tractor for 11.8. Now, Dad was like, I bet you the owner had set a reserve of like 20.
Had somebody else.
Probably. Like, yeah, bid on there. And that might have been the case.
I'm sure they're not supposed to do that.
No. But that does happen a lot. So we got a guy around here that looks like I'm going to get a red tractor, a 7140.
Okay.
We got a local guy around here. I know him really well. I had seen the tractor, but it has a lot of hours on it. It had 9,500 hours on it, and that's about a 92 model tractor. But it looked good. It's got duals on the rear, front wheel assist on front, and price wasn't bad on it. And so I called him, and it has had an overhaul on the motor within the last few hundred hours. All the seals have been replaced on the rear end. The sleeves have been done on the motor. It's got a brand new air AC compressor on it, brand new water pump. Like it's been like gone all through. The dude just spent a chunk on the thing, like going through it because he was like, man, I'm not gonna sell it to somebody and then it be a piece of crap because he was like, then that comes back on me. He said, but he's needing a big 4-wheel drive because he pulls a dirt pan. So he was like, I need one that'll can handle a dirt pan really well. And so I think looks like I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. Yeah. And I won't have to finance it. That's the big thing. I didn't want one I'd have to finance. Price it's not as cheap as that 76 would be, but it's still, I mean, it's also 20 years newer than that tractor.
Yeah.
But it was funny. We went and looked at it, and Mr. Cookie was like, man, look at that. It's some rust on that rim there, and the paint don't look that great right here. And I was like, would you quit look? I was like, it's a 92 model tractor. And he's like, well, hell, I don't care. And I said, what do you think a 1976 model tractor would have looked like? I said, the one I was bidding on, I said, you were going to be driving it. What do you think it's going to look like? And he was like, well, I don't know. What is it, a piece of crap? And I'm like, it's a 76 model tractor. It's old as hell. Like, I'm not saying it's a piece of... I
can tell you, because that 4030 I bought last year's a 73 model.
Is it a 73?
Yeah.
Well, this one, it had been restored, but I'm still like, you can't, because he's like, well, the air conditioner better work. And I'm like, you got to remember, like, this age, like, the air might work today, but there's always a possibility that when you fire it up tomorrow, the air just is like, yeah, it's not going to work today.
Well, so when I was finished, because I only use that 4030 when I'm in the hayfield.
Yeah.
Of course, into hay season last year, it wasn't real hot. But I had my concerns, like, man, I don't know if this thing's cooling that great. But, I guess Sunday was when I finally got that hay baled a week after I cut it. And it got rained on about 4 times. But I was raking the air conditioner ran good.
Really?
I was like, okay.
So you don't have a leak then?
I was really afraid. I was like, man, when I get this thing going next year, I'm gonna have some air conditioner problems. But, yeah, you're right. Now, the next time we get it out, it might not.
Well, that's what I've like, which this tractor, normally that kind of hours, I'd be like, I don't think so. But it's been gone through, and the guy, I mean, he's like, I know him real well. And he also said they dynoed the thing, and it had over 250 horsepower. So it's like, it's a toad, man. Like the Timmy Kenny, a buddy of mine, which you knew Timmy.
Oh, yeah.
Timmy, I hate that what happened. He got cancer. He died. But Timmy used to tell me them red tractors. He was like, man, he said, one thing about old red tractor, he said, you can turn them things up so hot. He said, I can make the stack melt in two. Like he said, I could make them things so hot. Like, he used to claim he could get, like, that 5488 that Dad and them have. That thing, I hate that tractor.
I drove that thing home when
you did, with no power steering. That thing couldn't hardly steer.
It had a blade on the front, too.
Yeah. He claimed he could get probably close to 400 horsepower out of that motor. Now, would be about to blow the motor.
Yeah, I was about to say, could it handle that power?
I don't know that it could handle it, but he was like, it could turn it. But
that's not a terrible tractor. I mean,
I'd rather drive a 1066 than that 5488.
It is a rough ride tractor.
It's the roughest riding tractor. That vinyl seat, you get the swamp ass so bad. Like, you run that thing all day and you go home and you don't have a galled ass, and you, like, I don't know. I hated that tractor. Like, I was like, I'm gonna drive this thing off into the river. I used to tell Dad that all the time. I don't like it, but on the 7140, it's updated. It ought to be better, but it's front wheel assist, and that's the big thing. But again, man, the thing I was telling the guy I'm buying it from is, like, I'm not going to use this tractor every day. Like, my 8420 that's the main workhorse. I need a tractor that when I need to disc 100 acres or something, it's available. And when I don't need to do that, I need to do some bush hogging, it's available. And I don't have to unhook my 8420 from the planter or something like that.
See, and I'm, which I was definitely facing that last year, because I had one tractor, and I would literally, when I'd go to the hayfield, I'd have to rake with that tractor, get done raking, unhook. So I knew that wouldn't work long term, because ideally you're raking and baling at the same time.
Yeah.
And now I'm almost getting greedy. I was playing around today. I had a little bit, we were just a tad on the slow side today, I guess, at work. And because I did a lot of reading on Farmer Wants a Wife, and I started playing on Tractor House. So
it's a dangerous website to play on. I was
like, man, it should be nice to have a tractor that I just have dedicated to leaving the disc mower on it. And I was like, I don't need a loader on it. I don't need front wheel assist.
That 7210 out there is the best dang cutting tractor. I love cutting with that thing. Yeah.
Two-wheel drive.
Turn on a dime.
2-wheel drive, no loader. Like, I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I get to thinking, like, well, but if I had one with a loader, a second loader tractor would be awfully nice, because then I could, if I had just a gooseneck flatbed trailer, I could haul hay, and I'd have a tractor in the field to load it with and a tractor at home to unload it with. But anyway, I was like...
What were you looking at?
I specifically searched at one point for 7210s. Like, what can I... That tractor's worth a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sure. Hold on. I got to bump the air on. I'm getting hot. Hold on.
Because that tractor, it's like a 97-ish model.
That's what I was figuring. It's got to be.
But it only has, like, I bet it don't have 4,000 hours.
Oh, probably not.
Because pretty much all they use it for nowadays is mowing hay. I mean, they'll pull the square baler with it, but hell, they don't run a square baler 2 or 3 times a year anymore.
Mow hay, and then we'll occasionally slap the little sprayer on there and spray like 5 acres.
Yeah, and used to, before they had a sprayer, they did some spraying with it. They had a 3-point sprayer. We put like a little planter on it for like planting food plots.
Yeah, that's what I would plant my sweet corn with before I got mine.
No, you're talking about using it like 4 hours a year doing something.
What is that? Like 120 horse?
It's not quite that. It's probably 100, maybe 110.
Gotcha.
100. I'd say about 110 if I was guessing.
I tell you though, that tractor, that is one of the most enjoyable tractors to drive.
It was the first cab tractor I ever really drove. I mean, when it really, like, it was.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nostalgia there for me. When Big C, when our granddad was still alive, that was kind of my first job on the farm. It was just hayfield in general. Me and him would go to the hayfield.
Yeah.
Now he drove it.
Yeah.
I was on the 5000 Ford, open station. But that was like the tractor that I aspired to be.
That's the Cadillac, man.
Which at that point, that tractor was like, it was brand. I remember they brought it brand new. It may have been a year or two old by the time I got to working on the farm. And like occasionally, like if he would be doing something, like I'd get to drive it. It was just like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that factor there for me. Where if I ever came across one that because most of them don't have as low hours as that one does.
No,
most of them you find. I mean, that tractor's 25, going on nearly 30 years old now. Most of them have you had 8,000-9,000 hours on them.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I want one.
I'm
afraid of one at that age. Like it could be good to go for another 3,000 or 4,000 hours, or it could go out.
It'd have to be one that I knew, like the red tractor here. That it'd have to be one that I knew everything about. And it's been worked on.
Yeah.
Like everything's been replaced.
Well,
and I mean, you still take a chance.
Well, that 4030 I bought,
how many hours are on it?
Like 740.
Oh, so does it even turn at all anymore?
It does.
Okay, so
I don't know if it turned over at 10,000
or 20,000,
or if it just quit working for a period. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
The guys I bought it from, they had painted it. Which you've seen it.
Yeah.
Which when I bought it, and I bought it online, and so it was kind of like, they're like, man, she ain't gonna win no beauty contest, but she runs, and they were right. But heck, when I got it, I was like, it looks better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was they put some lipstick on it, more or less. Painted it.
Does it got the quad range or power shift transmission?
So, do they call it a partial power shift?
Oh man, they might. I don't know. I can't remember.
So it's got a.
Does it have A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4?
So it's got A, B, and C, and then it's got 1 and 2, and
Okay.
then you shift through neutral to
Yeah.
3 and 4. So you can shift between 1 and 2 is power shift, and between 3 and 4 is power shift.
Gotcha.
I think they
Okay.
call it partial power shift.
So you don't want to. Dad was telling me, we were talking about it the other day, because I was looking at another a 40. Oh, there is something to me. I'll tell you, the tractor. I love the 7210. Did you ever drive the 4555 very much?
I drove it just a few times, yeah.
That was one slick riding tractor.
But those are getting. I mean, it's still not a very new tractor. That's still a whole lot newer than the 30 series.
Oh yeah. I mean,
'Cause they had
that
the
was
30.
a 90 something model,
I
probably.
think they had the 30, and then they went to the 40.
Yeah.
Which everybody knows 4440 is it, which
Yeah.
they had one. And then I guess it went to the 50, the 55, and the 60.
Yeah.
I think there was a 50. I know there was a 55 and then a 60. But again, I'm talking about how things aren't that old. I think of like the 55s and 60s. I'm like, oh, those ain't that old.
Yeah.
I mean, when in reality,
They did have a 55, a 60, because we had the 4760,
Yeah.
and that was a pretty stout tractor in its time. But
Yeah, I was about to say, I know you were wanting front wheel assist. I know where one of them might be for sale in the near future.
a 47, Lee's?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I gotta have that front wheel assist, man.
Yeah. Well, when you told me that, I was like, well, that one would be out. But that's a clean tractor.
It is.
For as old as it is, that's what he and I were talking about. Like, that thing was well maintained, whoever had it for him.
That is a clean tractor, and that actually brings up a good point for like people listening. Tell you what, something I'm not afraid to do is buy something and have it shipped here. Now, if you have the luxury of time and the funds to travel, I would recommend traveling. If it's like a tractor, you're really like if this is going to be your tractor, you ain't got a big budget for multiples, but you can afford to travel, go look at it. I would strongly encourage you to go look at it, not just go by the word of the sales guy. But, man, I ain't afraid to have one shipped here.
That's what I did on that 4030. That's what I did on my service truck. Which
My Peterbilt I had shipped.
Which I won that service truck. I don't know, I say service truck, farm truck, whatever. I won it on auction. And didn't even mean to. Like, I wasn't even really that serious about wanting
You saw
to buy it.
when you were hitting bid, it just kept out bid, and you were like, all right, damn it.
I can't remember. I remember exactly where I was. I was on the tractor, sitting in the driveway because I had taken some hay to some cows.
Yeah.
Which may have been why I was bidding on a bell bed truck. I was like, it'd be nice if I had a truck to do this, not a tractor. And I may have only bid on it once or twice. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I figured that truck would. I remember my winning bid was $7,900, and I thought it would go for over $10,000 easy.
Yeah.
And that's when of course, I got on the phone with the guys and was talking because I hadn't even talked to them about it beforehand. Like, I wasn't that serious about it.
Yeah.
I was like, because I was kind of nervous at that point. I was like, they're like, yeah, we expected to bring a little more than that, which I mean everybody does when you're the seller. I was like, yeah, I was kind of surprised I won it. Like, I wasn't really sure that I wanted it.
Yeah.
Now, I did have to put a transmission in it almost within the first 6 months, but I still,
What did
for the money I've got in that truck, I think it was well worth it, especially now that we've had the COVID inflation and Biden inflation, whatever it is.
what did the shipping cost you?
Cost me I paid $7,900 was the winning bid. I had
Was there a
about,
buyer's premium?
yeah, by the time I paid like whatever little fees and whatnot and got it shipped here, I was right at $9,000 in it.
Oh, that ain't bad. That's with it shipped here and everything? Wow.
But when it shipped here, I mean, you're talking about a pickup,
Yeah.
a 1 ton, but it was actually the guy that hauled it here. It was a Hispanic fella. He hauled it here just on a flatbed trailer.
Yeah.
Like you might haul just a little hay on or something.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what it was going to come on, a low boy or with a bunch of other stuff or what. It was just a dude with another pickup towing a pickup on a flatbed trailer, a gooseneck flatbed trailer.
Well, that makes sense on the shipping because like that 8430 that I was getting a quote on, the 30 series, they had real short tires.
Yeah.
Because that's what Dad was like. I don't like the tires on that thing. They were real wide and real short. Like Dad was like, I bet that thing won't do 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, that might be right. That's my one complaint about driving that 4030 down the road.
Just slow.
Because my Kubota will do like 24 mile an hour, which I know isn't even that fast compared to some of the real late model big stuff.
Yeah.
But that 4030, I bet, does 18 miles an hour.
Well,
And
Dad
it feels
can't-
like you are crawling.
Oh, well, that's what Dad can't say anything.
I know what you're going to say.
Because that gosh damn 670 combine he's got does 15. It does like 15.6 miles an hour, and I'm the poor bastard that had to drive that thing because look, I was like pumped. I was with him. I was running my 9760. We were shelling the corn in Millington at Lowe's. I was helping him. And he had the 9770 at the time. He had a catastrophic breakdown. Like it blew the back end out of the combine. It was terrible. And he called John Deere and he was like, I've got to have a combine. This combine is shot. And so they're like, we got a 670 here. You can come get it. Bring your 9770. You can leave in the 670. You can take it, if you want to buy it, you can do the trade. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, I want to get the 670. I told Dad, I said, you can run my 9760. I said, I'll drive this 9770 because we're in Millington and I had to drive it to Ripley.
Yeah.
I said, I'll drive
For
it.
those of you listening in a pickup, that's probably an hour drive in a pickup.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. From Millington, that's it. Yeah.
Millington to
maybe.
Ripley's probably an hour.
Yeah. I mean,
no, that's
maybe
probably
longer. Maybe an hour and a half,
yeah.
an hour and 15.
Yeah.
That's in a pickup doing 55 to and you get into some 65 mile an hour
It's all
zones.
highway. It's straight highway there. Yeah, there ain't no turns.
No, but it's a drive.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget going that 9770. It would do 25 miles an hour. It would scoot.
Yeah.
And that's the one I ended up trading for.
In a machine that big, that's getting it.
Yeah, people hear that and they don't think that's very fast. It's like, dude, if you were doing 35 miles an hour in one of them, you'd be like, good God, you'd be running over everything.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to keep it in the road. Yeah.
No. And so I drove it to Ripley. Yeah, I think it took probably 2 hours or more. No, probably 2.5 hours for me just to get to Ripley.
Yeah.
And I get to Ripley, and yeah, I tell Dad, I'm like, you just drive my 9760. So he's still shelling corn. Man, I get in the 670. Oh man, it's sharp, it's clean, man. This thing is slick. And I get out on the highway coming back, and it's doing 15.6, and I'm like, God dang!
They're gonna be like, something's wrong with this thing.
Yeah, I called Dad. I said, this is a slow son of a bitch. I said, damn, this thing don't do. I said, it ain't hardly doing 16 miles an hour. I think it took me over 3 hours to get from Ripley to Millington. It was so damn slow, and it got I ended up trading my 9760 in on that 9770 because Tennessee Tractor fixed it. And Dad would always want to move together because we were still working together at that point. And he'd have to go in the front because I'd just run off and leave him. Hell, I could do 10 miles an hour more than him. Well, I put some new tires on the combine. They're bias tires. They weren't radials. And at the perfect speed of about 15 and a half miles an hour, they must have had like an imperfection in the tire, because I'd be driving and it'd just be like brum, brum, brum. I was just steadily bouncing up and down, and I'm having to run like half throttle.
Yeah.
And I'd bitch the whole time on the radio. I'd be like, I'd tell him every time, be like, I am not following you again. I'd be like, this is ridiculous. I'd be like, I'll drive in front next time. I'll have half the field harvested before you get there. Like, and even my 680, it'll do 23. I mean, it'll run off like 15 miles an hour. That sucks. That is slow as crap. I don't understand why 670s are so. That's
weird that they did that.
Yeah.
And
the 680s, they run in the 20s.
Yeah.
But it sucks. Yeah, it does. But all that to say, looks like going to be buying that 7140. It's supposed to be a Hoss. It's got a chrome straight pipe on it, blows that black smoke. So that's two things I like right there.
Yeah, there you go. Clubbing those baby seals.
Yep, that's right.
Well, like, I need to get this tedder back here that they've got. They don't use anymore, and replace that slip clutch. And just because fiasco I had with getting my hay wet.
You don't have a tedder, do you?
No, I've got their good tedder right now.
Gotcha.
They're still probably a month away from cutting any hay.
Yeah, that ain't even on the radar.
But
well, they didn't even fertilize their hay back here. Dad he told them to. Apparently there was some miscommunication. We walk out there in the hayfield after they were supposed to have done it, and there's no fertilizer on the hayfield. They fertilized like where our sunflower field normally is and the corn and stuff, but they didn't do the hay.
Oh shit, I'd make them.
So I don't know if they came back or what, but yeah, that's what we were like, well damn, there's not an ounce of fertilizer down here.
Well that's just one little field though, at least. But which that hydraulic fold tedder is awfully nice, not having to get on it.
Yeah, I've never run it. I've never run that one.
It is, I mean, you don't ever have to get off the tractor. But yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I'll run it on that 40-30, just because it's real easy to unhook.
That's 3-point hitch, ain't it?
No, it's
pull behind.
Yeah. But I was like, damn. I was like, I really don't look forward to running up down the road another time to whatever field I'm in with that 40-30. So, yeah, I would like to, which I don't need. Hell, even that Kubota I've got, it's 135 horse. It's a whole lot bigger than I need for anything I do in the hayfield.
Yeah. Well, don't get the power shift is where I was going with that, because that's what Dad was telling me.
On like those old John Deeres?
Yes. See, our new John Deeres or newer, they all have what's called the power shift. But he said them old power shifts, he said, you do not want one of those.
See, mine's power shift, I guess, between first and second.
Yeah.
But then,
well, the true power shift to them old ones, it was basically just 1 through 16.
Oh,
like it was like a lever, and I never drove one, but I guess I don't know how it worked. I don't know if you just kept pushing it and it would click into the next. But Dad said 20 years ago or 30 years ago, he said if that transmission went out, it'd cost you like $20,000 or $30,000, and he said that was 20 or 30 years ago. He said they were prone to going out. He said he said nobody wanted a power shift back then.
Yeah.
So he was like, do not get a power shift.
There ain't a lot of them still around.
Probably. Well, I
bet a lot of transmissions have gone out and they've scrapped them.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what he said. You get an old one, he said, you want a quad range. And that's how that 4555, the 4760, all those, they were quad range. They had the you clicked it from 1 to 2 and then you clutched to third.
Yeah, well, that's what mine is.
Yeah, that's quad range. Now yours does not have D range.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just A, B, and C, which that may have been.
Well, hell yeah,
when you go back that far.
Yeah.
Because again, that's a good bit older.
But they probably still would have called it quad range if you have 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, but I would say it sounds like you got quad range.
Yeah, I've been relatively happy with that tractor. Which hell, I hadn't put. I definitely hadn't put 50 hours on it.
Yeah.
I probably more like half that, but.
Well, there's something
I'm
cool
with the
to
idea
it.
Of it, which I'm kind of torn on. Well, do I want to buy a relatively late model, like just a 70 horse tractor, because a 70 horse would do. I'd have to look. That might be a little light on, like for my disc mower. What horsepower you need to be
Man,
rated
yeah,
for?
I would think you'd want. I don't know. Like my 5090. Well, that 5090 would handle it.
Yeah. I was about to say that you'd be fine. I think you get up over 80, 85, but like somebody's, like you can buy like I don't know what model number would be, but like a 20-year-old Kubota that's just, 2-wheel drive, cab, 80 horse, like those aren't too expensive.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect hayfield tractor. Like do anything you need to do in the hayfield.
Yeah.
Hell, I could even run my baler with that if I wanted to.
Yeah. Does the air conditioner work on the 4030?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about a minute ago.
Okay, that's right. Well, that's right. Yeah, you were saying, yeah, because you said it didn't leak.
It worries me a little bit. It's if it was going to be 110 heat index tomorrow and I was going to be raking hay all day, I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah. And you don't have to put Freon in it. Have you ever had to put Freon in it?
I hadn't. I hadn't done much anything to it other than I had to have that work on the fuel pump.
See, I've had to even put some Freon in my 8420.
Yeah.
Well,
if it ever does have any trouble, I hope that's it.
Yeah. There's something cool to me about the old stuff too, though. Like you fix up some old stuff.
Like
and
that tractor, like when I bought it specifically. I mean, I could have bought again like a 70 horse Kubota or whatever. That was a whole lot newer for about the same price, probably. Just because it different color paint, more or less. It would have been just as capable and probably even a little more reliable. But it's just something cool about those.
It is. It's a classic.
The old round cab.
That's why I was like, I was so bummed about that 8430. I was like, because I'd already made up my mind, like, all right, when I ain't using this tractor, I'm going to park it at the farm store. I was going to kind of park it up there for
that's why
the
like
core.
That 4760 of Lee's, when he was talking about getting rid of it, I was like, damn, dude, that's a sweet ass tractor. Like the sound of that sucker running. Yeah. And it's clean.
Well, that's what I like about this 7140. It has like a 6-inch straight pipe on it, a chrome one. Yeah. As soon as I fired it up, it blew black smoke out, and I was like, nice. Which my 8420 is a black smoke blowing dude, like, because that's before the emissions. But like,
mine has to do the burnout. Now I don't have any DEF.
Well, my 5090's that way, but now it takes DEF. But like, you crank that's the one thing that does bum me out. Like that 8345R, like you go crank it up. I mean, it just don't even have like a cool tractor sound. And if it blows black smoke, you better get the hell out of there because it's about to blow up or on fire. Yeah. But it just don't. Man, I want that deep rumble of a tractor.
You should just run that 1066.
I love that 1066. I love that thing. Well, the thing about it, Mr. Cookie's going to be driving it, so it would have been hilarious. I should have put him on there because he's like, whatever I run, the damn air conditioner better work. And I'm like, dude, you got a lot to learn about farming. Like, I'm like, you didn't, like, I always laugh because I'm like, shit, that 1066 what I cut my teeth on. That was that's what I learned how to disc and stuff on. And your air conditioner was however fast you went,
Did you ever drive the old Massey?
Just a little bit, not a whole lot.
That was a hot son bitch.
Yeah.
Because it didn't, which the 1066 same way, no canopy or anything. I mean, you're exposed to all the elements. If I get skin cancer, it might be courtesy of one of those tractors.
Yeah. Well, and especially with both of those, you're also, you do consume quite a bit of carbon monoxide.
Well, and like your dad always talked about how hot that tractor was, and I don't know what it was, like where the exhaust was.
Yeah.
And there at one time, it was the only tractor they had with a loader.
Yeah.
Like I guess it was the first loader tractor they had, so we would use it to move hay and haul hay.
Yeah.
Because it was the only thing we had to load with. And when I first started driving a tractor on the farm, I was a little young to be doing kind of precision stuff like that. But then I got to where they would have me doing that. Oh yeah, I grew to hate that tractor. I mean, it was just, but it was a neat old tractor.
Nah, the Massey never really grew on me very much, but the 1066, I loved it. It was the two things I loved. It was smoky as hell and it was loud as hell. And I credit a lot of that. Marcy, she has to tell people now, like, I don't hear great. If there's background.
I get that all the time. Like,
if there's background noise.
My wife gets mad at me.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm bad about. Like, if I'm trying to do something and like I'm focusing on something, I can block out everything.
Really?
Which I think that's a good trait in some ways.
Yeah.
But did you ever drive the 656s?
That was that one had a canopy on it, didn't it?
Well, they had two of them.
Yeah, I drove one Rakin because that was a rough riding bastard.
So, for those of you that are familiar with old Internationals, our dads, or I guess, I don't even know, these may even belong to our granddad.
I was going to say, that'd probably be Paw and Uncle Lemuel.
So they had a 67 and a 69 model, 656 International, gas burners.
Yeah.
One actually had an actual canopy, and the other one had like a little umbrella top.
Yeah, I think I drove the one with the canopy.
You call it like a Bimini or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, one permanently stayed attached to the rake and one to the tedder, which was nice for them. I mean, these tractors weren't anything glorious at all to drive, but just like we were talking about, you didn't have to worry about unhooking from anything.
Yeah.
They were permanently, like, as far as I knew, like, you could not unhook them from that equipment. Like, they never, like, hay season ended, they went in the shed with the tedder and with the rake hooked to them. I drove those a bunch. Those were kind of hot tracked, that gas and exhaust. But
what was the little Ford? It was the 5000.
Yeah,
but then,
that was the very first tractor I ever drove. It was a 5000 Ford. We'd put a disc. I had a disc mower on it, which I had to look up how much horsepower it had. Which I had a little smaller disc mower.
But I liked running that little tractor.
Oh yeah, it was a good tractor. It ran like a top.
I liked the 9600.
Oh yeah,
that thing. If you were pulling a disc at night, it'd blow.
It's right down the road here.
Oh, did somebody buy it around here?
Yeah.
Because I know you had it for a little while.
Dad traded it in when he got that no-till Cedar, I'm pretty sure. But I don't know that I ever even went to the dealership, because literally somebody, like, as a crow flies, probably 2.5 miles from where it my house is where it is now.
Did you ever pull a disc in it at night and see the blue flame it would blow?
No.
It'd blow a blue flame out the top. That thing was pretty... they had turned it up a lot.
I used it. I pulled square baler with it. I pulled bush hog with it. Of course, I pulled a sprayer, put out hay with it. Like it.
Yeah, you pulled the sprayer with it.
Yeah, I turned a pull behind sprayer over with it.
I pulled an accumulator with it in a wheat field one time, and it made me want to set it on fire. Because when you'd go to put it in park, it'd go brrrr.
Yeah, it was bad. It would do that.
And the transmission suffered after me that day, because after it's wheat straw, the accumulator wouldn't do good. I bet I had to, and then it's a big tractor, so I'm having to climb down the steps, climb up and down. And after about the 175th time of doing that, when I'd get up there and I'd go to put it in park, I'd just go, and just like, I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I had done lost my patience.
That was a little overkill on horsepower for the accumulator there, but yeah, that was a solid tractor.
That was a tough old tractor. That was tough old horsepower.
I ended up with it down there at my place because essentially I needed a tractor, couldn't afford one. It was just sitting here in the barn collecting dust, and they were like, "Yeah, you can take that down there and use it to put out hay."
Yeah.
Of course, it was no load or anything, so I was putting out one roll at a time, which, hell, I was
got the job done.
Hell, I was farming, man.
Yep.
That's all that mattered to me.
Yep. Well, there you go. Hey, you got a company, or you want?
If you got one,
I got this cup here.
I've got a running list of a few, but yeah, that looks like a good one.
That's what I was like. I'll take my cup out there.
Well, hell, let me.
Yeah, get our chief.
Fire up the commander in chief.
Around here.
I think better would be if we had Fetterman doing one.
Did you watch him today?
We start off with 2 words: made in America.
All right. So my glass here is empty now. I'll try to, let's see if I can zoom in on it here where y'all can see it. There we go. Okay.
Spin it around there where they can see the America.
All right, let me get it zoomed in. All right, here we go. Yeah, you see right there. It says America. And if you'll notice, it's got a bullet sticking in the side of it right there in the glass.
What caliber is that?
I believe it's that. I don't know. That ain't a 5.56, is it?
No, it's bigger than 5.
That may be a. That ain't a. It might be a 300 blackout. It's kind of got the flat nose like a 300 blackout.
Well, now it's penetrating the glass. You know, it's going to flatten out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'd have to get my calipers out and measure it. All right, sorry, YouTube. Let me zoom back out. Y'all watching the wall there. But Ben Shot is the name of it, and it's a American-made father-son company. I got this for my birthday.
Ben Shot.
Yeah, I Google it. I'm pretty sure it's BenShot, one word. But it is a like I said, a father and a son make these, and it's pretty cool. They actually take the glasses and they show on there. They take a torch and just melt the glass and stick the bullet.
It's Ben Shot, but just BEN, just one E. Shot.com.
Yep. Well, they
handmade in the USA by a father and son team.
And they got all kinds. Like if you're not a gun guy, but maybe you're a golf guy, they got a golf ball,
baseball.
Yeah. I mean, for some of the weirdos today, they'd probably get one with a dildo on there if they wanted it.
You know, you might have to write into them to specially request that one, but we're not here to judge.
But yes, the more I think about it, I don't know. That might be that almost looks like a 300. I don't know. Like I said, I hadn't measured it, but yes.
308.
308. Gotcha. All right. I was going to say that had me thinking maybe a 30 cal something, but
it's 100% lead, just so that you can. No, it's copper.
Okay. Well, I got my copper bracelet on here too to help out with my joints.
Yep.
Like John Wayne. But no, Ben Shot. I mean, it's just cool. It's a cool glass. It does not leak. You know, I've put water on there and I've tested her out, but it's just a cool glass. They got all kinds of different glasses and different styles. You can get like beer, the tall glasses. So make great gift sets. Father's Day's coming up.
That's right.
Now you check out Ben Shot. If they sponsored us, I'd give you some code. Maybe that'd be one that we might ought to reach out to. I feel like that'd be kind of in our wheelhouse.
Oh yeah,
Ben Shot. But yeah, America, you could get them probably to put anything on there. I guess they can laser etch the glass. So
Pride Month's coming up. If you prefer the Pride flag, I mean,
yeah, they could put the Pride flag on there and put queer or something on the glass.
Put the alphabet.
They could. There's enough room to wrap all the way around this glass for all the different letters in the
LGBTQIARST.
Yeah, it just keeps going. It's grows every day. So check them out, benshot.com. And guys, we appreciate you for tuning in. Please go to talkdirtpodcast.com and go to the contact page. You can submit your questions on there. You can message me on Instagram, message Bobby Lee on Instagram, reach out to us YouTube, Facebook, anywhere we're at. Reach out to us. We love the questions. We love to answer the questions. And
we'll probably get back to some questions next week.
Yep.
We're going to be heartbroken. No farmer wants a wife.
I know. I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah, we do apologize to our audience that has not watched the TV show. Which I guess you're not done with it because we're going to try to get some guests on here.
Yeah, but I feel our commentary is colorful enough that maybe it's still entertaining for those that don't watch.
Fox ought to.
They really ought to have
reach out to us about we're broadened. Like we are totally not the demographic that they would have thought would have watched this show.
No. They don't expect you to go from Gunsmoke to Farmer Wants a Wife.
Right.
They ought to have us basically like the PGA Tour announcers, but for Farmer Wants a Wife.
Well, you got the, you talking about how they like have the alternate channel?
Yeah.
Where like you can watch like their traditional golf commentary.
We're the Bob Menery of, the golf. Do you follow Bob?
No.
Oh man, dude. I'll have to show you Bob Menery. You'll appreciate his.
Well, it's gotten to be a thing like with sports broadcast, which most games just have one broadcast crew, but for like the national championship game, they had like their traditional, it's like Chris Fowler and Kurt Herbstreit. And then they had like this other crew that's more like just the goofballs, comedians. But then also, most people are familiar with Barstool Sports, which, I like Barstool for the most part, for sure. That they actually, for the bowl games, which there's 1,000 football bowl games, it's like there's too many nowadays.
Yeah.
But there's the Barstool Bowl.
Really?
And it is, for TV, it's only streamed through their website.
Oh.
And it's like those guys calling the game. I watched that, like, it was hilarious. Because, like, they're just goofing off.
Is it the blonde-haired, long-haired, blonde-headed guy?
So Caleb Presley.
Yeah, that's really the only guy I watch on Barstool. He's on there?
I don't follow all of them. Which, if you follow him, you follow Glenny Balls.
I don't follow Glenny.
Well, but it's just hilarious. Like, during, like, I remember one of the, like, commercial breaks to come back, they were, like, interviewing one of the players' parents. And like it was everything you would have thought it would have been. It was so inappropriate for like normal TV.
Yeah.
But it was just hilarious. And I was like, I could get, because it was a game. I don't even know. I could not tell you who was playing in the game. It did not matter. It was entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
Now, again, do I want them calling a game like a serious game that really matters, like with my team in it? I don't know if I'm there yet. But if you had that as like an alternate channel, like the main broadcast was on ESPN, you had that on ESPN too? Yeah. So
I
yeah,
could
we
go
could
for
be
it, yeah.
like, Fox be like, all right, these guys are a little non-PC.
Yeah.
But
This is for the Cinemax After Dark, crew there.
right. Well, speaking of like reality TV, I used to watch Big Brother, and they had the Big Brother After Dark,
Oh, really?
which was like the live feeds you could watch. But
Yeah.
that was one I was going to reference, where every week it was live. Like, it
Yeah.
stayed up to date. Every time somebody got evicted off that show, it was live that week. Like,
Yeah.
they were
I watched some of it.
me and my wife got into that for about 3 or 4 years. And then
Did you ever watch Cinemax After Dark?
I've never had Cinemax. Like,
Yeah.
I've never
That
been
was
willing to pay for old
that
extra TV.
that would have been probably like, I think that might have been some of my first introduction to like boobs on TV.
Boobies on TV.
Like when I was parents go to bed, Dad be asleep in his office, and I'd be like, let's see what's on here. I'd flip it, channel 37. I remember that's what channel Cinemax was, because that was all the good movies. But they were like, the Terminator and all them would come on there.
You didn't want to fall asleep watching.
No, yeah.
Terminator would come on at 8,
Well, that's
go off
what-
at 10, and then it would go off, and
There was a
you had about 2 minutes to change your channel.
there was a time when I'd hear that, like, Dad he would have like done gone to bed, but he left his TV on in his office, and he was probably watching like Platoon on Cinemax, and I'd be coming through there in the kitchen because his office was back in the back, and I'd hear something questionable, and I'd be like, what is that? And then I'd go, and that's when I was like, God, what is that? Because I was probably like, probably like a 12-year-old, 11, 12 years old. I'm like, whoa, hey. And so, but then you can't even watch it, because then I know my mom is like lurking. So I'm like, but I wasn't like, wow, I did see a pair of boobs on there. So they called it Skinamax.
Yeah, I'm going to hit info, see what channel this is. And next time Mom and Dad are out on a date night.
I will tell on myself real quick before we end this episode. This is pretty funny. So I was, this was the dial-up internet days. And the computer was back in Dad's office. And so, that was like the AOL.
Yeah, for you kids out there, we used to, like, in the house, there was the computer.
Yes.
Like, you didn't have multiple computers in the house. Like, you had the computer. We even had the computer room.
Yeah. Yes. There was a designated room for it.
Yeah.
And nobody could use the telephone while you were because we had landlines.
Oh yeah. If you were on the internet, that meant there was a busy tone if somebody dialed your house.
Yeah. So I was back
because
there.
You didn't have a cell phone either.
No. So I was back there on the computer, and it had done swapped from Cinemax to Skinamax. And again, I'm probably a 12-year-old kid, maybe 13. you know, that perfect mischievous age.
Oh yeah.
And I'm on AOL. Well, it's probably, I don't know, 11 o'clock. It must have been during the summer. Because, I mean, I had a strict bedtime, all that stuff. My parents were very disciplined on me on that. But, so probably in the summer. Well, I remember I'm back there and, like, it's a very vulnerable position. Like, I can't, because your back is to everyone when you're watching. Like, the TV was back in the corner of my dad's office, and his TV that he had in there had like an 8-inch screen on it. So, like, you could barely even see the TV. Because this was also, you know, the big TVs were ungodly expensive.
Yeah.
Like, so
and they weighed 1,600 pounds.
yeah, so it was a tiny, tiny TV, and so also I'm on the computer. Well, my back is to like the kitchen and all that area in my parents' house, and I was flipping through. Well, a softcore porn like was what was on, because Skinamax was like. It wasn't like, I don't want people thinking that it's like hardcore porn on here. Like, it was.
You're seeing some titties.
Yeah, you saw some boobs.
Titties and a little moaning.
It would basically be like a regular, at this point, a regular HBO show goes beyond what that was showing.
Probably
like,
show. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, you'd see some boobs. And so I remember one time I was watching while I was on AOL, and I was like, man, look at those boobs, you know, and I was probably telling like some of my buddies on there, like, man, I'm looking at boobs on TV.
On AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes,
yeah.
on AIM. And man, they had the last button on the remote, and you could hit last, and I had it where I'd go to like AMC
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, something was on, and I would change it back, and so I'd like watch the boobs just a little bit and then hit last and go back. And my mom came in there, and man, she came in, and I had not hit the last, but it was like one of the random talking moments of the show, and you know, cheesy acting too. And she's like, "What are you watching?"
A plumber coming over.
Something, yeah. It's like, "What are you watching in here?" And I'm like, I said, well, actually, it was commercial, and then I like changed it back to something else, and then I kind of like hit the channel button so that she couldn't like last it and go back. And she's like, oh, okay, and she walks out, and so I'm like, whew, man, dodged a bullet. And then here she comes, and she goes, I know what you were watching, because I just flipped it over there to see, and I knew it. And man, I got my ass tore up, like, so I got busted. Like, she saw what I was watching, she ran in there and just flipped it over and was like, I knew that's what he was watching. Got me. So yeah.
One of my co-workers today she was kind of devastated. Her son, and I won't give too many details, but he's a young man.
Yeah.
And I forget even where, but she saw he was looking at some boobs somewhere.
Well,
I was
that's a good thing. At least
damn it. I was like, in this day and age,
at least he ain't gay. Sorry.
Celebrate that.
Yeah. I don't mean that offensively to some of our listeners, but
be glad he wasn't watching like YouTube videos on like how to change your gender.
Yeah.
Like he's
going to be a part of
he's a
carrying
male
on.
who was looking at female breast.
Yeah.
Like part of me wants to like give him a high five and say, I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That, you know,
the fears I have as a parent are completely different than the fears my parents had. You know.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
That was the first thing I thought of. I was like, you know what? It's like, this isn't the worst thing that he could have been doing.
No.
On the computer.
I'm already hopeful, because my son is in love. He was in love with his teacher, and she's a blonde-headed woman. She's a nice-looking woman. She's super sweet, but he is madly in love with her. And so I'm like, all right, that makes me feel
Pick him
better.
up from school, you have Van Halen blaring.
Yes, in a T-top Trans Am. Yeah, that. But you know, that does. But no, I'm with you. And see, I was kind of like, I feel like that's where I related to Ted Nugent. You know, Ted Nugent, he didn't have his vice wasn't drugs. His vice wasn't alcohol. His vice was just women.
Yeah, he's always said that. Yeah.
Yep. And so women, you know, that's
the most powerful drug on the planet.
it is. Yeah, it is. So, all right, guys, there you go. Bobby Lee can he'll bust a story out on him next week, since I gave an embarrassing story of mine.
Yeah, I can tell stories. I can tell a few about getting caught. Probably the best one I got is getting caught drinking.
With the telephone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, that one immediately popped in my head, but
Yeah.
you'll have to hear that one.
Anyone who really knows us has heard that story 1,000 times.
If you've been around our dads any short amount of time, yeah.
Oh, my dad thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
My mother still does not find it humorous, and that was, my God, how old was I?
Hey,
I'll be 40.
16 or 17?
I'll be 40 here in about 4 weeks, and I think I was 18. I had just turned 18. Hell, I was an adult.
Well, don't give too much
She didn't
away.
have any authority to even tell me what to do. No. I still lived in their house. So,
yeah, don't roll like that in our neck of the woods.
It was hilarious.
Well,
yeah.
there you go. Next week, I'll make a note here, so Bobby Lee will share his story.
We may even need to have a guest on to help tell his version of it. But
Hey, that I would actually like to hear that. I don't think I've ever heard his side of it.
I think his was, I don't remember anything.
Man, deny.
I really don't think he remembers much from that night.
Well, yeah, I mean, from his deposition or whatever, the state he was in, you probably were right.
These damn Nokia cell phones, which again, you kids out there have no idea what we're talking about.
They were bulletproof, though. They were.
Oh yeah, they would work no matter what.
All right,
In your pocket, you're drunk, and
I got a note here. BL's story on being drunk. Y'all hear it next week.
Hell,
Getting caught.
I wasn't even really drunk, but anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, if you watch this on YouTube, hit the like button, hit subscribe, comment below, let us know what you think. And again, submit your questions to us. Guys, take care.
Catch you next week.